Hello everyone, have a good day. So this time we are going to share to you our story analysis about the novel The Guardians. But before that, let me read to you first the content of this presentation. So we have the background of the work, the author's background, character web, characterization, the plot, styles of the author, the themes, cultural implication, and the implication of the title. So first we have the background of the work. So the it is all about the Guardians. It is the novel published by Doubleday by John Grisham. It is all about a former priest, named Colin Post, works for an organization called Guardian Ministries that scars court transcript the personal letters from the convicts to determine if someone is wrongfully imprisoned for a crime he or she didn't commit. So next is the author's background. So John Ray Grisham Jr. is an American novelist and attorney, best known for his popular legal thrillers. His books have been translated into 42 languages and published it worldwide. So, Grisham graduated from Mississippi State University. So, after graduating from the law school at the University of Mississippi last 1981, John Grisham began a career practicing law, specializing in criminal defense and personal injury litigation. So, in 1983, he was elected to the Mississippi State House of Representatives and served until 1990. So next is the character web. We have there the legends, we have the Guardian Ministry members, the convicts, the prosecutor or the lawyer, the victims, wife of the victim. We have also the one who raped and murdered Emily Brown and the witnesses. So next will be the characterization. So next it will be the plot. So, in John Grisham's novel The Guardians, Innocent's lawyer Colin Post knows that it is more difficult to get an innocent man out of jail than it is for a man to be wrongly convicted. So, he does not anticipate all that will come against him when he decides to take on a case for Quincy Miller, a man. So, Post believes that it is a framed for murder of a small town lawyer. Post finds up himself against a drug cartel, a prison gang, and even a voodoo priestess as he fights for Miller's exoneration. So next is Post's story begins as he waits for a last-minute stay of execution for Duke Russell, a man wrongly accused of the rape and murder of a young woman. So, Duke is granted his stay just as his last meal arrives, less than 2 hours before he is scheduled to be executed. So, Post leaves the jail in which Duke is incarcerated. He remembers the 8 clients he has been able to exonerate. Along with one client, he could not be saved. So, Colin Post believes that it will take a miracle to save Russell. Next, Post decides to take up the cause of Quincy Miller, a man Post has decided was framed for the murder of Keith Rozzo, a lawyer in a small Florida town. So, in his preliminary research into this case, Post discovers that a flashlight, a key piece of evidence in this case, is believed to have been destroyed in a fire. To make matters worse, Post talks to Lawyer Townsend, the lawyer who defended Quincy in the original trial. Next is Tyler tells Post that while he was preparing to appeal the original conviction, he was abducted during a trip to Belize. Tyler was tortured and made to watch two other men alive by crocodile as a warning for him to leave Quincy's case alone. As a result of his experience, Tyler believes that it was a powerful drug cartel who is covering up the identity of the real killer in this case. Next is Post doesn't allow Tyler's story to scare him away from Quincy's case but soon wishes that perhaps he had been Quincy's almost killed when he is accosted and beaten by two members of a white jailhouse gang. So, doctors give little hope that Quincy will survive, but he begins to slowly improve. Post bribes a guard who works at the prison where Quincy was beaten to find out the identities of those involved in hurting Quincy. The guard identifies two convicts as well as the guard. Next is Post and his fellow employees at Guardian Ministries get a lucky break when Len Duckworth, a former DEA agent, tells them that Rosso was killed because he was working as an informant for DEA. So, with that information serving to prove that the attempt of Quincy's life was contracted hit, Post manages to get the FBI involved in this case. So, using the prison guard who served as the lookout during Quincy's beating as an informant, the FBI manages to connect Bradley Fitzner, the sheriff of Ruiz County, when the Russo was murdered, to hit on Quincy. So next, I will now give the floor to my co-presenter, Miss Allen Marimon, to continue this discussion.
So, in continuation to Miss Liquillo's important events in the story, here's the next. It had long been believed that Fitzner was involved in the drug trafficking business and had perhaps covered something up in Rose's murder. So, Post suspects Fitzner was the one who planted the flashlight, the only piece of evidence that connected Quincy to the murder, in Quincy's car, and then arranged for that piece of evidence to disappear. Post also becomes aware of a rumor indicating that Post had his man ambush and murder a black deputy, Kenny Taft, because Taft had information about Russo's murder. So, Post contacts some of Kenny's relatives on the hunch that Kenny might have hidden some evidence boxes he took from the sheriff's department in the family's old abandoned home place. So Post is shocked to learn the family does not want the house disturbed because they believe the house was cursed by Vida Taft, a voodoo priestess, after her family members had her committed to an asylum. The family's fear of the curse seems to fade. However, when Post offers them money in exchange for entrance into the house, Post, Post thus find three boxes of evidence in the attic. In Duke's case, Post was forced to fight with Chad Fallwright, the small-town prosecutor who did not want to see his victory in Duke's case nullified. So, Chad fights Duke's exoneration by refusing to have the 7 pubic hairs taken as evidence in the case DNA tested. Post's miracle comes when a substitute judge works the case in which Post appeals the decision not to test the hairs for DNA. This judge orders the testing to be done and even has her order expedited. The results indicate that Duke was not responsible for the murder, and he is exonerated. In Quincy's case, Post realizes how close he is to getting Quincy exonerated when the evidence boxes are opened and one of them contains the flashlight from Russo's case. It is sent for testing. The blood on it believed to be backsplatter from where Quincy shot Russo with a shotgun. It is determined not to be human blood. So because Quincy is about to be dismissed from the hospital, Post and his team must work quickly to ensure that he does not get sent back to the prison where he was almost killed. They take advance they take a chance and file their petition for post-conviction relief in the country, where Quincy has spent almost 19 weeks in the hospital instead of the country where he was imprisoned. Although the Florida Supreme Court denies the motion, a judge who is interested in Quincy's story picks up the case and hears an appeal by Guardian Ministries. So this judge to, agrees to hear the new evidence in the case. When he exonerated Quincy, the judge seems to be overjoyed that he was able to be part of the team that freed an innocent man. So next is the style of the author. First is the conflict of the story. It is man versus society. Because in this type of conflict, society will put pressure on our character to change and fall neatly into order. On the other hand, our protagonist will resist this change and, in extreme cases, will try to bend society to fit their vision. Like the story of the Gurchan, post-exonerees were trying to fight for their freedom against those people who put them in prison with the help of Guardian Ministries that lead by Colin Post. The themes are triumph of the underdog. Triumph of triumph of the underdog because of Colin Post's hard work, that he really worked hard for all the cases that he handled in order for the prisoner to be set free or to get the freedom that they all wanted. For those innocent inmates. Next is the false incarceration and death penalty. So in this story, it is themed by false incarceration of those innocent exonerees that are not deserving of being in jail because of the false incarceration. And of course, the story also promotes death penalty, just like the case of Duke Russell, who's been in a death row because of some accusations for him. Next is the cultural implication. It implies how the legal system shows prejudice. In the story of the guardians, it shows how the trial court works in Florida. It contains how they judged a person based on how the witnesses or the opinions of others give an impact towards the exonerees without sufficient knowledge. And lastly, the implication of the title. The guardian implies the innocence of the lawyer. Cullen Post knows that it is more difficult to get an innocent man out of jail than it is for a man to be wrongly convicted. So it is the works of the guardians to help all the innocent exonerees that are being imprisoned for false incarceration. The word guardian really give light and the word guardian really give light and hope towards inmates who are thirsty of being freed in jail. So I guess that is all. Thank you.